Strava Art, race simulations, and your so-called boring loop. What do all of these routes have in common? If you plan them with purpose, they're your secret weapon to building strength and staying injury free at any age. Today, I'm sitting down with Coach Lu from our Spark Healthy Runner team to reveal the three types of running routes that will not only keep your routine fresh and exciting, but actually make you stronger, healthier in running. And we'll break down how to plan routine runs that build your base, workouts that challenge you without breaking you down, and exploration runs, everything from Strava art to running every street in your city, plus fun ways to gamify your training. So, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, this episode will help you plan running routes that keep you running strong, motivated, and injury free for years to come. Welcome back on the show, Lu. This is your first podcast interview since tying the knot and becoming a married man. So I will give you an official congratulations to our podcast audience here on the channel. So besides being a married man now, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and sharing with anyone new to our audience who you are and why you love to run?
Hello, everyone. I'm Coach Lu from Spark Healthy Runner, and I like to run because here in New England it's just so beautiful in fall. That's when I started running, and that was over 10 years ago. It's been a while, and then as I run, I start to get to learn about it and get to know people, and I met Duane, so I'm happy to become part of the team. And I run. In the beginning, I just run. Then I try different things. I go to different places to run, and I try different speed work and do all kind of challenge. And I did 5K, 10K, half marathon, full, ultra, everything on the trail sometimes, but mostly on the road. I just like to run to share, to chat with people. It's fun.
Yeah, and you really kind of had fun in your early running journey, and then got really competitive. And yeah, I got some really fast times. Did a sub 3 marathon in Boston. So I think you bring a real unique perspective to today's topic and running routes because you have experience of doing all of this and all the things that we're going to talk about today. And this was kind of your idea on sharing this content with our running community. I'm just kind of curious if you can share of why you felt like compelled to be able to share some of this like knowledge and information that you've acquired through the years.
I absolutely love to share. A lot of people are running out of ideas where you can find a route to run. Like, where should I run? How can I run? Running safety. And I just over the years I just figure out so many ways to run. I almost never run the same route. I always make some tweak and here and there. And I check so many routes. A lot of people see me running, they test me running, and there's so many ways I definitely want to share with people about find your route so you can make it fun somewhat if sometimes when you're doing workouts, and safe. And yeah, I can't wait to share with everyone.
Yeah, no, this is going to be, I think this is going to be a really informative and a fun episode to kind of spice things up for our run. So, what's the first type of run that we should really consider when mapping out our running routes?
So first, yes, before we get into the different types, why do we don't worry about the type? Because whenever I plan a run, the question comes, I want to ask myself, what's the purpose of today's running? Why not just sit on the sofa and be a couch potato? So what's the purpose? Am I just trying to recover, or to train hard, do some speed work, spicy work, or to explore around the city? So with this purpose, then I assign this type. And now to answer your question, the first type of run will be the routine run. That's the run you run a lot of times, your default run, your repetitive run, usually a easy run, recovery run, relatively short. So that's the first type of run.
Yeah. What are some of the things that we want to think about for this run in terms of like planning your running route, or if someone's like, especially if you're new to running and you're like listening to this now, this is definitely where I would say you are right in your running journey. What are some of like the key points to think about in terms of like planning out running routes?
Okay, so this the routine runs is routine. So you're trying to if you're starting out, you're trying to build running into a routine. So you that's some kind of run you're going to run most often. So these are a few things you want to think about. First, you're gonna run this over and over again. So you want to keep it simple. So something a little easier to follow, some less decision fatigue, right? Too much choice sometimes. Too much choice worse than no choice. And then such a it's a good idea to have a default loop. So you know the distance, how long it is, and effort, the terrain, whether there's a lot of people, a lot of dogs, landmarks, if there's bathroom here, something like that. And you want to be safe when you're trying to autopilot. Then if there's a lot of car coming, a lot of stop signs, a lot of cars that may run the stop signs, then that's not safe. So you want to choose something safe, low traffic, and well lit if you are early morning or like night runner. So these are very important for planning your daily runs.
Yeah, so really one of the most important things that we can do as runners, and we always get runners who are looking to, how do I get faster? What's the best workout? They jump right to the complicated things before mastering the basics. And one of the most foundational things that you can do in your running journey to stay healthy, to get stronger and run faster is consistency, right? Consistency is key. So this is what you're talking about in terms of like that routine run. Let's just keep it simple, not have to think too much, and having an area or a couple of areas that are kind of your go-to, right? They're your staples that exactly, how long, these specific landmarks are, that is going to be like a 2 mile run for you, a 3 mile run, a 4 mile run. It kind of takes away some of that decision fatigue if it's a specific loop. If it's a specific out and back, I personally am more of an out and back kind of guy. The back always feels quicker. It does, than doing a loop. I feel dead set on that. I'm pretty passionate about that. At least that's how it feels for me. Yeah. Is there any routine running routes that you like to do, Lou?
Yes, I have this boring loop. It's just so easy that almost boring. But here in our town, there are two streets parallel to each other, and then if you keep going all the way to at the end, they connect, and then you come back. It makes it a loop. It's about 5 miles, 6 miles, perfect for daily run. And the other great thing about it is that it almost have sidewalk the entire way, and it's well lit, and it's safe. It's well lit.
Yeah, no,
Pun
that's
intended.
pun intended there. It's lit. Uh, yeah,
Yes.
safety is important too, and making sure, like you said, that you have areas if you are running in the dark, that is more lit, and for safety wise and even visibility wise. So it is nice to know like which streets are either more lit or have less traffic, right? Like that could be really good to know in advance. That makes sense.
Yes, and that explains why whenever I go to this boring loop, sometimes, especially in the early morning, 5 a.m. or earlier when there's dark. There's always people, mostly runners, as you can expect it. And you can imagine why, because it's safe, it's easy to follow. It's pretty much just going all the way down and all the way up. So very no much turns. And because there's always people, it's a little safer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And no matter how early you go, there's always people. Almost.
It's nice to see some familiar faces as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And why is it important for us to have like these familiar checkpoints, right? Like knowing, hey, there's this sign, or hey, this is where, when I get to the school, I know I'm this distance. Why is that important, especially for like runners who are like just starting out?
It gives you some mental guideline to goal to chase. It's easier for you to. It's just less boring. It's something the mark to chase. So this is one thing. The second is it you can tell your friends or your family where you are, saying, "Oh, I'm doing this boring loop, and I'm at the high school," so they know exactly where you are. Or because you know how far you are, then you said, I'm about a mile from home, something like that. So these two things are very helpful for, for safety and for estimating where you are. And also, if you know where the bathroom is, you know when the emergency comes, that'd be helpful.
Yes, yes, because yeah, nature will call at some point during your running journey, and and yeah, that's super helpful. And yeah, for me, for my like boring, routine runs, it's kind of like, oh yeah, the mile mark is when I get to the police station. The mile and a half mark is, when I'm at the or not the mile and a half mark, like the 2 mile mark, I know is at a specific like intersection. 2.5 mile mark, which if I turn around, it's a 5 mile run, is at the high school. So it is helpful. The 3 mile mark, I get to the McDonald's. It is helpful to kind of have those like familiar landmarks. And then I even find it helpful too of when you're doing harder runs, almost, if the mindset isn't the best, or if you're in a race and it's like, man, I got like, a mile left. And then it's like, all right, Duane, just picture yourself like it's only like you running literally from the police station to home. Like that's not far. Like you've done that a million times. It doesn't feel like it's a far distance. So it kind of helps put things in context there. And guys, if you're already getting some value from this, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video that will help you get stronger, run faster, and stay healthy. So Lou, what is this second type of run that we would want to consider planning out our running routes?
We just talked about that routine run for mostly easy runs. Now we go into workouts. You briefly touched it. The workout runs. So workout runs are hard. Usually, some speed work in kind of speed work here and there. So let's say there are routes that are with a training purpose. Speed work, including hill repeats, is kind of speed work too. Or long runs. Sometimes long run with speed too. Or race simulations. So you try to mimic the race condition. Is it going to be going by hilly race, or it's a flat race? So all these are different type of runs, but in general, it's running with a training purpose: speed, hill, long run, race simulations, all these. So then we have to break these workout these for each purpose. There are specific um, attributes we need to consider if that's speed work, including hill workouts. Usually GPS is good enough for most people. If you really want precision, track is a friend, because each track is exactly for each lap. The lap one, each lap is exactly 400 meters. Or if you have some place that have very clear mile markers, it's great too. But in general, GPS good enough unless you want super high accuracy. And GPS, I mean the watch GPS. The second one you want to consider is terrain. You want to have a smooth terrain when you're doing speed work. If there's some pothole and you're doing speed work, and when you're doing speed work, you are focused on you're working hard, and you may not pay. You don't want to use more mental energy to focus on the ground where there's a pothole or something, or uneven pavement. Sometimes when some roads are very tilted and you are running speed work, then you'll feel different.
Yeah, if you have that like severe like camber in the road, yeah, that's not going to
Yes.
feel good for you for speed work, and it's just going to feel like weird and awkward, and your stride's just going to feel odd. And as you were talking about potholes, I was thinking about a lot of times when I run on the paved trails over here and I have speed work after a storm, and there are like branches
Mm,
everywhere on
yes.
the trail, and you're like having
Yes.
to jump over them. And yeah, like that is like stressful to like have to think about that. So yeah, thinking about, a road that just has a lot of potholes, or there are going to be a lot of things that you have to like navigate in that run, you don't want that when you're really just trying to focus on getting into like a good rhythmic stride, trying to hold a faster pace while like conserving energy. And yeah, that it cognitively it's not fun. And then it just like increases your stress hormones, and then your heart rate starts to like spike too high. Yeah, so that's not a good thing.
It does. And of course, safety, want it to be low traffic. The least thing you want to do is that you are doing a speed work, very hard speed work. You're trying your best to hold the speed while a car cut in front of you, and you have to stop. And then that breaks everything. There, even with crosswalk, car doesn't always stop, unfortunately. One day I was doing a tempo run. It's very hard. I was breathing like crazy, and there's a crosswalk. I go there and I check the cars coming. So I waited a little bit for the first car to come, but then there's a car. Second car just speed up and then almost hit me.
Oh my goodness.
So dangerous. That's the last thing I want to do in the tempo run, and my heart rate raised to the roof. It's so difficult. So you want to avoid the traffic.
Yeah, it's like full blown fight or flight. You're like, I'm gonna get smashed by this car, so now I have to run like super fast, and yeah, that is not good. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Is you do have to take that like extra planning when we have these workouts, because you're trying to hit a specific pace, right? And if you have to stop for cars, or crosswalk, or jump over sticks or potholes, or I could think about jumping over puddles. I think about a destination long run that I did this past summer. We were doing a family vacation in Florida, and we were at Fort Myers Beach, and they had like massive, like torrential Florida downpours, of course, during my run. And I got out there early, Lou. So it was literally, 70-degree dew point. It's like Florida weather. And I had these, hard workouts on the calendar. And I'm like, I got to get them done. We're going to be down here in Florida for like a 10-day period. It was a vacation. Then I moved Olivia back in college into her apartment. And, I was like, I got to get these done. I got up nice and early to beat actually the sun, and before that sun really hits you and like bakes you. And then it was like torrential downpours, and the drainage right on Fort Myers Beach, right there, it's like all flat, and the drainage is not good. So there were like these huge puddles everywhere, and I'm like, how am I literally supposed to do this? So I had to find a main road that had like really good drainage, that was like new construction. So like once I found that block, I literally just ran that block, like up and down that block, because I knew I wouldn't have to like jump over puddles to get like I think I was doing, it was just like 1 minute surges at like 5K race pace in like the middle of my long
Not too
run.
bad.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of my long run. And but that's I had to like strategically, search that out. So I thought about the puddles, but it is just so important from like a planning standpoint for us on these workouts. And it does take a little bit more thought and planning with your routes. And even for those runs in Florida, because it was so hot, I couldn't just like go out and run, my normal run because of the heat and overheating. I had to strategically plan out, okay, I'm going to run. It was like a mile and a half, I think. And then I'm going to come back to my hotel to get some more ice to put in my hat to kind of cool my core body temperature down because it was that hot and brutal to do speed work in that weather. So it does take like a little bit more planning. And as we're talking about workouts, guys, if you want to learn more about proper workouts to add into your training year round, including like the little tweaks that make a massive difference, whether like tempo runs, like Lou mentioned, or doing like hill workouts and the things that really kind of keep you healthy, but add those into your running so you can get faster. That's all we talk about in our free newsletter, Healthy Runner. And you can check out the link in the description for this. But what are some of the things that we want to think about, Lou, in terms of like planning out your running routes for like long runs?
Long runs is a different beast. If uh, there are people who's able to run a long run on the track, say 10 mile, 20 miles long run. It's so hard.
That's
So
brutal.
it's so brutal. So usually I will try to go to something a little more fun uh, on the road usually, because long runs usually long, you want to see something different. There are different, let's put it this way, there are different ways of planning a long run when it's very long. Loops, it doesn't have to be track loops, it can be a little bigger loops, 5 mile loop, something like that, or out and back. The one you said is your favorite. And or point to point, how to do point to point. For example, if you're going to a festival afterwards, you start at your home and run to the festival. I did that before. I'm crazy, but it works. Or loop. It's very helpful when you have. I have a group of local friends running here, and let's say if you have a 6 mile loop, each loop about taking about an hour, then you may say from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I can run with you, but then I will loop back at 7. So if you want to join me at 7, you can meet me here, and then at similar at 8, if you want to join me for 6 miles at 8, you can meet me here. So that loop is good in that sense. Out and back is great in the sense that if you're running alone and you have everything, say, in your car or from your home, you go out and come back. So all these had they had different purposes. And what you want to consider is water stops. If you have, if that's a hot summer day, Florida, then or you only have one safe road, then you probably will have to do a tons of out and back, so you can put some water or electrolytes dropped there. Otherwise, you have to carry everything on you. And bathrooms, you may happen again. Shade, it may make a huge difference if you cannot run at night or during the day. Sometimes say your only time to run happen to be around noon. Sometimes unfortunately happens, so then you want to some place has shade. And safety, so again, safety. So about the shade, I have some local, the Farmington Canal Trail that has pretty well shaded, and there is a Tyler Mill locally that there's a route that's completely shaded even in summer, and somewhat flat. It's a dirt road, so these are great options if you can scope out and then find these places with shade. Then is helpful, especially when you do a long run. That applies, the shade apply to anything, but especially for long run because it's long. Even if you start at say no early time, say 7, in the run 3 hours, you end up at 10, so some will come out. Then you want to plan these things. So if you do point to point, you can start somewhere less covered and end up somewhere shaded. So that's something you can play with it. And also you can mentally break it into segments that help with long run. And we can use a landmark to break them down, or what we said, loops. So you have people joining you different times, almost people relay helping you. So these are all ways to when planning your long run routes.
Yeah, and like you said, the loops, I know some runners like that to be able to grab their hydration or their fuel if they don't want to carry all of it with them. So I know a lot of runners who do that. Yeah, I only kind of circle back to my start in those really hot and humid summer conditions, because yeah, I don't like getting back to my start until I'm like finished with the run. Because then it's like a tease. It's like you're back. It's like you're supposed to be done with the run. Like, why are you continuing? It's like these weird mental tricks we do with our minds. But yeah, those are all like great considerations. I think shade's a huge one, especially in the sun. And I was actually thinking about that today for my run. I had like 12 on the calendar that I just went out, and it was like I didn't want all of it to be done in the shade. So like you said, I like went from my house and I knew it was 2 miles to the trail where I hop on there, and there's a bathroom there, and there's a water stop. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I could refill my flask. I'm going to have some water the first 2 miles, tap it off, top it off there, hit the bathroom, and then I'll do my run on the trail there, out, and then I'm 2 miles from my house. So then I could refill water if I need it, hit the bathroom if I need it. So yeah, all these things, guys, you have to plan out when you are going out for your long runs. And then how about like thinking about route planning for race simulation, Lou?
Oh, this is coming handy as it's race season's coming, and some big race a lot of people I know are doing is Chicago run, Chicago marathon. It's so flat. It's so flat. The entire marathon is above 200 feet. It's very flat, and for people who's training on the hills all the time, sometimes you don't know how to run on the flat, and you may get cramp. And you thought that hills are hard, so running on flat is easy, but you want to mimic it because you also need to learn to run flat. It's easier than running on the hills, but still you need to learn it. In that sense, a lot of people training for marathons, Chicago marathons especially, I tell them that yes, you can run your daily easy runs around your home when it's hilly. If their homes are in a hilly city, here in the Northeast, a lot of places are hilly. But then on the weekend, you may want to drive. You may have to drive somewhere a little further to find somewhere flat, because that long runs are these race simulations, especially those long runs close to the actual marathon days when you have a lot of spice sometimes and the runs getting longer. Those are the runs that key, and that's time you test your equipment and everything. So you want that to simulate your race. And for this example, Chicago Marathon, you have to run on a flat place, flat route. So that's one thing. And that's I'm talking about the elevation, but also the terrain. If if the race is going to be gravel, then you want to find somewhere has some gravel. If the race is on the dirt, you want to find that. So terrain is different too. Elevation, start time too. If the race start at say usually in the morning 8 a.m. and you are afternoon runner, it's okay for a lot of runs to happen on the afternoon because that's what will work with for you. But for long runs, especially those last couple of long runs, the very important ones, try to make your effort to mimic the start time of the race.
And like the opposite scenario of that is like those running New York and Boston, right? Those start super late, right? So like those people who are used to getting out the door early at and
At,
running at 5,
right.
6, 7 a.m., it's like they have to
Yes.
practice actually going out later now, right?
Yes, because it's usually going to be a little warmer. If you run at 4 or 5 a.m., usually it's not too hot because sun is not burning, and you may not used to run while being burned by the sun. So when you're doing late starts, 7 no 11 a.m. or even later, then you want to get used to getting there, wait at that place, at the start line for 2 hours in the sun and running late. So these terrain, elevation, start time, fueling strategy too. If you want to, so check the marathon or half marathon or the goal race, how often they provide you with a station, food, fuel, maybe porta potty, and you want to align with it. So ideally, you don't need to go porta potty at all. But what about the a station that where you get fuel or you get water? Say if that's every 2 miles, you may practice in your long run to drink it. If you especially if you drop your own bottle somewhere on the course, so you practice this in your route planning.
Yeah. And are there any favorite like workout routes that you've found to be effective?
Yes, there's this local one. It's almost a hidden treasure. You know, in New England, in winter there are snow, and not all the time they are plowed. And even if they're plowed, there are always some house that doesn't. They do not plow their driveway, unfortunately. And however, there's a place in the neighborhood. There's about a loop about a mile with almost no traffic, pretty flat, and they always plow. So we it's a hidden treasure that we always go there. It's hidden treasure for people who's not in the city, but for the people who's around, we come over and do that. I remember one day it's after a snowstorm, so everything's soggy and slippery, and there's no way you can run. The track are completely frozen, and the road sidewalks are not very clear. And on the you don't want to run on the road either because the side of the road are or with snows that limit that give less time room for the cars, and then if you run on the road then you're competing with the cars, which is not safe. So that place, I think it's called Reskin Circle. We go there, and there's a 1 mile loop which keep going. It's so great.
That's awesome. Is it a regular road or is it like a private complex or something?
It's a regular
Oh,
road,
okay.
but it's a loop that with some turns. But unfortunately, you can't have the benefit of everything. So we try to find somewhere with not so many turns. Pretty much 5 turns. It's pretty just like a square. So with that and less turns and very flat, that's hard to find around here.
Yeah. Are there any like bad choices that you've learned from like experience in going out for a workout and you maybe didn't plan the best and that you want like people to
Yes,
avoid?
yes, that too. Most recently, my friend Kristen, she has this run with pickups, like you said, 1 minute at 5K, 10K effort. So it's a long run. You run, and during the run, there are some 1 minute pickup at a fast pace, and then 4 minute recovery. You imagine when you do pickup, you want to do somewhat flat, but it happens that whenever the the pickup starts, it's always at the at the bottom of the hill. So all these 8 repeats, 7 of them are going uphill. So end up hill repeats. The final one finally, the 8th one finally is on the flat, but that's only one.
Right.
So you end
Yeah,
up
that's
all
frustrating.
uphill. This is not the worst because at least it's just 1 minute. The worst thing is that this is another long run with Coco Spice, which you have you start with easy run, and then this is a harder one. So we have some tempo runs coming. So tempo run threshold, very hard runs. They are very hard, but you can sustain. So those are hard runs. Tempo runs, when the tempo run starts, we program to the watch. So it beep, beep, beep. And from the as we run, we can see there's a hill in the far ahead. And then as it beeps, we are going uphill. Yay! Oh my god, it's so hard.
Right. So that's not ideal, especially if the goal is to like get the leg turnover and to get you used to running at a specific pace where, energy system wise, you could still get a good workout, right? If you're going up that hill and you can get the effort level that could be equal
Yes.
to what you want to achieve. But for someone who's really looking in at locking into a specific like goal race pace or right? Like getting that legs to turn over. Yeah, planning does help. And yeah, I definitely was guilty of this in the beginning of my kind of workout journey where I didn't plan as well. And yeah, I just used my same normal route from my house. And then every tempo run, I would have like this quarter mile, incline. And yeah, that split was just always a lot slower because it had to be because, of the hill,
Yes.
which is normal. But yeah, I've definitely seen a benefit to, those workouts at actually not leaving from my house and just, yeah, driving to the flatter paved trail. Or, making sure your warm up and your cool down kind of goes from your house to the paved trail, and being a little more strategic and planning. And that's why we're sharing this today, guys. Is you guys can learn from like our mistakes that we've made, in our kind of running journeys. Yeah. Any other final points that you want to share with regard to like planning workouts?
Well, we talk about tempo and we talk about the bad one, but it doesn't have to be bad. There's You can plan it so it actually work for you. The hill can work for you. It doesn't mean that tempo run always have to be done on the flat. So this is another scenario. We start a tempo with just a little bit downhill. It's not like very long, probably zero point 0.2 miles, but that's enough for you to get into the groove, and then the rest feel easier because you're coming from easy run, and then you try to speed up for a tempo, and then it's downhill that help you get in the groove,
Right. That makes
and
sense.
so that can help you a little.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, what's the last type of run that you really want to consider when planning out your running route? So, we talked about like the routine run, the workout run. So, what's that last type of run?
This run is purely fun. I call that exploration run. So you run to explore, which is great because if you think about that, if you we drive most of the time, and but driving is fast. You cannot just stop what you want. We can bike, but again, biking you may not be able to stop whenever you want. And we can walk, but walk slow. So what about run? So run, you can stop whenever you want. You just go. You can explore. You can explore so much more than just walking. So I love that exploration run. So we can define this kind of explorer run with curiosity, adventure, or novelty as a goal. So it's cool. It's a most exciting run.
Right. This is like the fun part of running, right? And just like shaking it up a little bit. And this is something I definitely love about traveling and like my girls' travel volleyball schedule and going to different cities or going to whatever, visit family, vacations, right? I absolutely love running, and all of those instances where you're actually have new scenery, right? And you're kind of
Yes.
exploring new areas, or it doesn't even need to be new areas if you're not traveling, right? It could be areas around your neighborhood that you don't normally explore. So this is,
Yes.
yeah, this is like the fun challenges. And I know you've done some unique things with Strava. Tell me about Strava Art. What's that all about?
Yes, this is fun. When we record our run with GPS watch, it will show you a map of the route you've taken. You overlay to a map. So I found it interesting. So I tried to use this trail to, it looks like something. So I tried to draw something on this running GPS trail. There are a few things I did. One of my run looks like a, end up looking like pig, and I, so it's cute. And the other things, one before Mother's Day, I found there's a route that looks like a heart near Coach Cat's home. So I run there, draw that heart, and run back. Looks like a necklace, right? And the other thing is that I find so hard to do it because here the road are not very they are not perpendicular to each other. So it's hard to, if you want to write some data, they are a lot harder. They are always inclined at the angle, not the right angle. But I want to do it so hard. Every January 1st, I want to draw the year of this run. So it happened. The first of this start at 2020 when everyone get bored. But not. But 2020, that January 1st, things haven't come out yet. But anyway, 2020, I want to draw something. So I took a map. I remind you where we live in New England here, the roads are not really right to each other. So they are all like inclined. So I looked really hard and find something that somewhat looks like digital digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, the one like right to in angle, right angles to each other. So I finally find something that somewhat look like 2020. So so that so I draw that with I, I plan it and draw it. So then it shows, oh, after you run, it looks like 2020 on your Strava. So it's a Strava art. And the good thing is that once you figure out 2020, then the next year, 2021, you just have to change the 0 to 1, which you just don't run the full loop. You go up and down. So that's it. And then you can pretty much do the same thing for the next few years. The first 2 and 0 cannot be changed though, because the 2 is somewhat inclined. It doesn't change into that. But the other last 2 digits are like the mini 8, two squares combined to each other, somewhat square. So that can be used for another 70 years,
so,
80 years.
so you're kind of taking a map. So like even just looking on like Google Maps, right? If you like zoom in
Yes.
on blocks, streets,
Yes.
you're looking at, okay, these streets are like more, parallel, perpendicular lines,
Parallel.
essentially,
Yes.
like grid, right? Like grid format kind of. I would
Somewhat
imagine like,
grid.
yeah,
Yes.
most cities are kind of more like that, right? If you're in more of an urban environment where it's probably a little easier,
Yes.
or yeah, these little like neighborhoods. I think back to like my Long Island days, like Levittown, and some of those like neighborhoods that were like built in like grid like format where every house was exactly the same. um, it's
Yes.
probably easier to do in like a neighborhood, and then you just go for your run, but you planned out, all right, when am I going to make a turn? I'm going to make a turn at this block. So it's not like while you're running you're figuring out. You have to like plan that out ahead of
You
time
have to
by looking
plan.
at a map, and then knowing like when you're going to take your turns.
Yes, because if you miss a turn, the entire thing is messed up. Oh no. And a lot of time you had to go up and down. For example, when you write the 2, you say you start from the end, you go up and turn right and turn left and turn left again, and then you have to follow the same way back. Otherwise, you close at the opening of the 2. And also, because the running is non-stop, you have to figure out some way to combine these letters. What I chose is to combine. I have a line as a base, so the last the final stroke of the 2 is attached to that line, and then 2 0, the last piece of the 0 is on that line. So from the distance, it still looks like 2020, but with a line behind at the end. So you want to figure out how you can connect these dots, because the trail always go nonstop. So pretty much you have to draw everything that's connected.
Right. It's almost like the old etcher sketch. I don't know if you ever heard about those. Like there
Oh,
were
that's fun.
kids where you would make these lines and it all connected, and people would make like crazy drawings on etcher sketches. That's what I'm thinking of right now. But guys, if you're like listening to the audio version of this and you're like, what the heck are these guys talking about? I don't even know what's happening right now. Like, go to at Spark Healthy Runner on Instagram. I'll wind up posting some of Lou's creative Strava art, or watch the YouTube video version of this, and we'll pop up some of these images so you can get that visual of what we are talking about. Is there any?
Or share yours. I saw so many creative ones. People draw dragons or draw a picture, and it's just crazy. Draw a rose. Wow, it's crazy. It beyond my words. So share yours and tag us so we can all
Yes,
see.
please do that, guys. I would love to see some of this, and yeah, it just adds that like creativity, right? And just something different into your runs, especially if you're in like a you're just in that blah phase of training and running, and you're just like, I don't know, you know, you maybe don't have any like specific goals, maybe you're losing a little joy in running, and you're just looking for something different, and maybe try this, to kind of like spark some joy. In talking about like memorable exploration runs, any like memorable ones that you've done before? I know you've traveled a lot too on like runcations. Are there any that you think about and is worth sharing?
There are quite a few. Um, Something fun other than that, the one I said, Strava Art. There are some runs I did on a cruise, because the cruise is moving itself. If you run on a cruise, then your running pace is added to the cruise pace. So you could break a world record that way.
You'll definitely like win that segment, I take it.
Yes. The other thing is that when I go to a city, I run to explore. And uh, this my wife at that time was my girlfriend. I went to that city. Of course, visiting her has to involve some running. So so I will run. I figure out the way to run and just exploring. And I run past this little small park. It's a small town. When I found this park, and they have a sign, Strawberry Festival. And I took a picture. I remember the day, and I tell Carrie, my wife, that there's a strawberry festival. Do you know? She's lived in that town for 2 years. She didn't even know. So yeah, I run so that I find things that locals or semi-local it doesn't even know. This kind of surprising, but hey, it's fun. And we went to the festival. It's so great. They have great strawberry shortcake. We all enjoyed it. Oh, great day.
Nice. You got some carbs to give you a little spark too by just finding the strawberry festival. I love it. That makes me think
Yes.
about this past summer we did a like a little staycation in Connecticut for a long weekend. We actually went to Mystic, which we haven't been to in years. We went to the aquarium, the Mystic Seaport, saw the ships, and then we were going to a concert at Mohegan Sun. So we like stayed in Norwich, Connecticut, got some random hotel that was like kind of close to the casino there, and I just went out for like a routine run. I just picked some random roads to run up. It was very hilly over there. I do remember that, and I wound up, making just a random left. It was like I had no clue where I was going. I'm like, I'm just gonna explore. I'm just gonna run. I made a random left, and I'm in like neighborhoods, and then I'm running. And I'm like, oh, there's like a building to the right. And I'm like, oh, this is a nice road. And it kind of flattened out. And I'm just running. And I'm like, there's a baseball stadium in like the middle of nowhere. Like I stumbled upon the Norwich Navigators baseball stadium, and they had in their parking lot there was like a little festival, and there was like all food trucks and everything. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Didn't plan on seeing any of this today, and so I ran in there, ran around the ballpark. I checked it out. The doors are like open, so I'm like checking out the outfield and stuff. It was kind of cool. It's like when you find things that you're not used to seeing, and they come up by surprise, like when you just go out and explore. And yeah, that definitely happens at times. So
I know a lot of time you have a time limit, or sometimes you have mileage goal, and while you explore, sometimes you can do that, combine the two. So what I do is that, say you have 14 miles, and then I can explore anything for the first 7 miles. If you just go out and run, as as long as it's less than 7 miles. In the worst case, even if you get quote unquote lost, you just go back the same way, right? So have that in mind. That will give you a little relief that you feel free to explore. As long as you are less than halfway, you can always come back, right? So
and actually
if you get
share
more
that
lost,
tip.
just come back.
Share that tip, Luke, because you shared it with me. I didn't even know my Garmin did this. On let's just say we are out and we kind of get lost and we don't know how to get back. How do we, if you're a Garmin user, how do you wind up knowing how to get back?
There's a long press a button. I think it's the top left button. There is something called return to start. So it will trace you back all the way.
Yeah, so it kind of like directs you like how to get back, which
Yes.
is pretty darn cool. I never knew that, and I remember you had shared that with me. So, yeah, don't be afraid to utilize that because in the past I've definitely like pulled out my phone and then you're like pulling out Google Maps, like trying to get yourself back,
Yes.
to where you did start. So now like I'm kind of curious, guys. Like, what's the weirdest place you've ever ended up during a run? Drop it in the comments and tell me about like the most unexpected running discovery that you've had. Because I'm sure yours are probably even better than Lou's and I. So just let me know in the comments. And next, we're going to share some other variations of like fun challenges that you can add variety and spark some joy during your runs. But before we do that, if you're getting value from this and enjoying these tips on how you can plan your running routes based on the purpose of the run, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button so we can continue creating free content like this so you can maintain a strong mind, a strong body, and just keep running. Also, if you're loving this content, then you will certainly love our 6 step plan to grow as a runner free guide where you get our 6 foundational principles and how to grow in your running journey to improve your mindset, strength training, run design, nutrition, recovery, and race strategy. Because when you master those 6 key parts of your running journey, you'll not only feel more confident in getting stronger and faster, you'll stay healthy and enjoy the process of running again. So you can grab your free download ebook by clicking the link that I have for you in the description, or if you simply want to go to learn.sparkhealthyrunner.com/grow. All right, Lou, let us know. What are some more fun kind of ways that we can spice up some of these exploration runs?
Yes, there's this website called City Strides, and that will, if you upload your running history, whatever you use to record your runs, Strava or Garmin or whatever you use to record your run, you upload that. It will show a kind of heat map wherever you run, and then you can search by city. So I live in Wallingford, and there's this. So I check Wallingford and how much street I completed, and I end up running on every single street in Wallingford. So if you live in town, if you live in town, I probably have run past your home. Um, so this is fun. So and I even after living in Wallingford for so many years, I've discovered so many places I didn't even know. So it's really fun, and it will give you your progress, and you can also see other people, how close are they. So I get pretty competitive with my running buddy Peter, so because he's trying to pass me, and we I run like 10 more street one day, and then he said, oh, you passing me. So he's going out and run another 10 street, and then next day we run back. So uh, it kind of is a fun, friendly competition. So we finished that pretty soon, pretty much same time. He finished a little bit ahead of me, but then now they keep adding more streets, so I finish 100% again. So we kind of neck and neck.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
fun.
I remember after you did that, you were looking at my town or neighboring town in Cheshire. And then one of the times you met
Yes,
up with me, you're like, yeah, let's go for a run together. I need to do some streets in Cheshire. And even like the streets that we ran on, I've never run on before in my own town. So that was
yes.
kind of nice to like explore new areas of even my own town. How are you doing, by the way, with Cheshire? What's the percentage?
Ninety six
Oh,
percent
okay.
almost
All
done.
right. Yeah, you're almost there. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of new construction going on. So there's been some new roads. I actually went down
Oh,
a new one that was just built right near my house the other day. Some nice, beautiful homes. But yeah, there were the three
yes.
deer that I saw on that little road because unfortunately
Oh,
they did knock down a lot of woods to build these homes in this new street. So yeah, I saw some nice deer. So you'll have to check out that block, but you're almost done with, so that would be your second town that you would have completed? All
yes.
right. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I could see that being like a fun challenge to do for someone just
Yes.
to like shake it up a little bit, right? Like make it a little bit more interesting going out for your runs. Any other things that you want to share of kind of creative ways to kind of spice up some of these exploration runs?
There is game called Pokemon Go. So you can follow route, and you can find the route that people run or walk, and you can follow it, complete it, you get some bonus point. So you make it as a game. S- Sometimes they can bring your running mojo back too, because to complete a route you have to go out. So that I kind of said to myself, I'm planning to run a route every day. And one day I wasn't feel like doing it, but I want to do it. So yeah, I did a really short route, and it's make it uh, as a game and play it for fun. Of course, when you're doing this, try to be a little alert to the traffic. And when I run this route, if you of course sometimes you have to open the look at the phone, then it's dangerous. So if you can set up, say, always track on the background, so even if not the phone is not on, you still record it. So that's one possibility. But in either case, it's take care of the safety first, then you can enjoy the fun.
Yeah. So in that respect, how do we balance like safety while exploring for our runs?
If that's less traffic, if that's a familiar place, then you kind of know it. And whenever you cross a street, always look at the crossing, because car don't always stop. And if there's unleashed dog, always be careful. And I'll say always make sure it's safe first. Do not have your eyes on the phone while you move too much. So sometimes I stop and start the route, and then I can follow. because it's sport run, right? You can totally stop and do it and go, and it may make the run a little longer, but it's fun. So that's the thing. And when you're doing Strava Arts too, when you constantly stop and check you doing it, but why not just stop and at a safe place? You don't want to stop it right in the middle of in the crosswalk intersections. You stop at a safe place, check you're going right, and then you make your next move. So yeah, it takes a little more time, but it's safer. Or you can program a route into your watch. Some Garmin, I'm sure other type watch has it. You can program the route into your watch, and then you just beep whenever you need to turn. That's easy too.
Right. Yeah. So that's definitely helpful. Um, and then making sure, like, I guess this goes without saying for, general safety for all running. And I know we did a whole deep dive safety episode with Coach Kat in the past. And, she was big about like, making sure you have your ID, right? Like always making sure you have either a credit card or cash with you. God forbid that you have to buy something, or, making sure you're bringing, fluids with you, bringing water. She'll have everything with her in her vest. It's like you need something, you need some like, Tums, you got a little heartburn, she's got that. You cut yourself and you need a band-aid, she's got that. So bringing some of those other elements for kind of safety while you're exploring, because a lot of times, like, that's the joy, that's the beauty of exploring, right? Like a lot of times we go out there and we wind up being out there longer than we planned, right? So you do want to make sure like you have fuel or you have money that you can buy fuel. And I think about actually another run I did in Florida earlier in the year for my girls nationals, where it was hot as hell. I was not heat adapted, and I needed to go into 7-Eleven and actually get more electrolytes than what I did bring. And I remember stopping at a CVS, another run in Atlanta that I was in, where I had to go in the CVS to get more electrolytes because I ran out. So making sure that you have the ability of, bring some of those things, whether it's your phone, card, ID. Those things are important for like safety when you are exploring, because yeah, a lot of times you kind of get in and you're enjoying it, right? That's part of the
Yes.
exploration. So but also keep that like safety in mind, because you don't want to run out of fuel or water or electrolytes and not have anything around.
Or running out your phone battery.
True. Yeah. Yeah. That's important. Making sure your phone's like fully charged when you go out. And if anything, like put it on. My girls do this all the time because like they're always on their phones, right? So like their batteries always run out. Low power mode. Like they taught me that trick of like putting on low power mode, maybe when you go out, if you're going to be out for a really long run, just to make sure that your battery doesn't die. Yeah, and these runs can like rekindle, right? Like that joy back in running, having
Yes.
fun, being creative with it. Yeah, if you could kind of, as we come down the home stretch here, if you can kind of summarize, some of the things that you think is important to think about in terms of like running routes and like planning out your running routes, what would be like the main take home point?
So first, always start with a purpose. What's a purpose run? Start with a purpose, and then match the route to your purpose. Put safety first, and remind the best route are the ones that keep you safe, keep you moving, and keep running fun. And
Absolutely.
I want to add,
Yeah.
a lot of people mention that, especially exploratory run, s- sometimes you don't want to run with a watch. I understand it. You can, for that kind of run, you mentioned about those landmarks that can come in handy, because if you run on a familiar route, you kind of know how long the distance is and what do you expect all along the route, and then you don't take your watch. You can kind of just look at that, as so you don't completely feel like deprived of any. You don't feel like you're just going to a random place very dangerously. So you go there, and so this landmark will help you, or even your speed work. And if if say your watch died, you can use this mark. If you know that how far is it from this landmark to the other, that can be helpful too. So all this make this route to match your purpose, so it make it work for you, and you can find fun out of it.
I love that. Yeah, make sure the route matches your purpose. Put safety first, and remember, the best routes are the ones that keep you safe, keep you moving, and keep running fun. So I love that. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you got value, like hit that like button. Let us know so we can continue, creating impactful interviews like this one that will help you get stronger, run faster, and enjoy lifelong injury-free running. Now I want to know, are you team routine, same route every run, or team adventure? Always mixing it up. Like, let me know in the comments. And if you're wondering how to plan your training, including the routes that help you become stronger, faster, and a healthier runner, that's exactly what Coach Lu and our team of Healthy Runner coaches specialize in within our signature Healthy Runner coaching program. We provide you with structured run plans, strength training for running, proper mindset, nutrition, and recovery that Lou talked about today, with full support from our Healthy Runner coaching team and accountability. You can learn more by simply clicking the link in the show notes or going to learn.sparkhealthyrunner.com/coaching. And don't forget, get your download of your free 6 steps to growing in your running journey by clicking the link in the show notes. Coach Lou, man, this is, as always, like, so impactful. I learned something new every day. Today, I learned about the Strawberry Festival and that you had strawberry shortcake, and now you're able to enjoy, right, some more carbs and some more nice little festival. And I also learned about Strava Art and how you actually do it, because I was always wondering how you can actually do that. So thank you for coming on to educate our community about how to plan out some of these running routes depending upon your intended goal and purpose.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to hear you and the community if you have any route to share or anything, your Strava art. I'm looking forward to see that.
Yeah, and guys, my name is Dr. Duane Scotty. My mission is to empower you to feel strong and confident in getting faster and enjoying lifelong injury-free running. You're watching the Spark Healthy Runner YouTube channel or the Healthy Runner podcast. And yeah, like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this so we can continue creating content like this. And today's conversation was all about like planning your running routes based upon the intended purpose, whether it is for convenience, performance, or really fun or exploration. However, like none of that matters if you don't incorporate strength training in order to run, to stay healthy so you can actually get faster. So you can learn my top 7 exercises for runners and follow along with my 25-minute strength workout by queuing up episode 242 on the Healthy Runner podcast, or just click the video that I have for you within YouTube. And as always, guys, let's continue to grow a strong mind, a strong body, and just keep running. Until next time.